This is kind of awkward. I sort of imagined that it'd be like a panel or something, and I'd just get to sit back here and go hi behind a desk, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Anyway, yes, my name's Phoebe Hart. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I did have a little bit of a theme for my talk today, which was You Are Not Alone. And I guess as I talk more about my story, you'll probably understand what I mean by it. Mainly that. Mainly that I sort of felt in many times in my life I was very alone. I felt like I was the only one kind of thing, and then it took a while to realize that I wasn't. So that's the kind of trajectory of the story that I'm going to tell today. So maybe just to give you a little bit of background, when I was a kid, I just loved telling stories, and I had like this series of books that I self-published from my parents and my sisters called the Peacock series. And the Peacock series just featured birds in kind of doing stories, because I love drawing the birds, like the peacocks and the hummingbirds and pretty birds with lots of nice colors and all that sort of thing. And I would just basically publish these books for my family to read. So I had this real inspiration to tell stories even when I was quite young. And then once I started to think, oh, what will I do when I get older? I thought, well, I could be an author or maybe a journalist or something along those lines. But it was something that I always wanted to do from a very early age. And I think I probably had a very idealized version of what life would be like as an adult when I was a kid. I just thought, oh, it would be like this kind of really great place where you just get to do whatever you like, and you can be famous or whatever kind of thing, and it's easy to do. And that's something that I was like as a child. When I got to be a bit older, things started to sort of maybe unravel a little bit. Mostly when I hit around about 11 or 12, and that kind of puberty time when everyone's going through all the different changes that they're going through. And I had like a gang of girls that were like into boobs, bras, and boys. And I was sort of trying to keep up, like going, yeah, me too, me too. But I was like kind of the one that was really like a late bloomer, like the proverbial flat as a surfboard, looked like a boy, kind of acted like a boy, and was a bit of I guess a tomboy, I guess you could say. It was around this time that I sort of started to wonder why I wasn't changing in the way that all my girlfriends were. So I went and began to ask some questions. The upshot of that asking and inquiring over many years, because I didn't get my information straight away, was that actually I wasn't quite like the other girls. I found out that I had this condition, which at the time was called testicular feminizing syndrome, but they've changed it ever since to something else. It's called now androgen sensitivity syndrome, or AIS. Basically, this is like a genetic condition that runs through the family, and it means that even though I appear to be perfectly female from the outside, actually I'm genetically male. And so therefore, this news came to me when I was a teenager that I'm a hermaphrodite. So it was like this kind of crazy, like, oh, okay, I'm a boy. I kind of knew I was a bit of a boy because I was such a tomboy, but yet I loved all my pretty feathers and cute books. And, it was kind of a very confusing moment for me where all of a sudden, my whole world was thrown into disarray, basically. At the same time, I was told that this is the kind of information that you don't get up on a stage and tell everyone about. In fact, it's the kind of thing you should really never tell anyone about. So it was the beginning of a whole cycle of shame, stigma, and secrecy, which I call the triple S kind of thing. A period where I started to learn how to lie really well, where I started to think of myself as one way and then present myself as another. So it was a very kind of emotional upheaval for me, but it was also a time where I sort of went into myself. At school and at university, I actually did really, really well. To me, that was the easy bit, just like getting good grades, like doing well at all my assignments and all that. And the difficult bit was hiding what I actually was from other people. That took all my energy, kind of thing. Like the kind of energy that, when someone says, "Oh, have you got a tampon?" and you're just going, "No, I'm out," like something like that. Or you just keep one in the bottom of your bag in case someone ever did ask, kind of thing. So there was like all those sorts of disguises and walls that I was building around myself. So it was a very troubling time for me. The whole time while this was happening, I just had the really strong feeling that I was completely alone. That was like what I felt. I felt like there was a human race and I was like an alien that was plopped in the middle of it. And my job, even though it wasn't ever explained to me, was just to sort of make your way through somehow to the other side, without getting detected. So that's the kind of impression that I had. Anyway, I went through my early years just sort of keeping this under my hat, feeling very alone, but at the same time succeeding at what I was doing, kind of thing. So I started to become, when I went to university, I discovered film and television, and I decided that I really liked documentary, and I started to make documentaries, and I was kind of good at it, and I kind of was sort of building my little profile up and making films for the ABC and for SBS and all these other sort of networks, and it was going really nicely. But at the same time, I still had this burden on my chest. Finally, I decided that it was time to reach out. Like I sort of figured that I couldn't be the only one because it was a medical condition. So obviously, the doctors found someone else first and analyzed it before they found me. So I sort of knew that, and it was one of those sorts of things that took like no time at all to resolve. I just went on the internet, Googled it. And it was like, yeah, there's a support group, there are people here, there are people there. And within days, I was emailing. Within a week, I'd met another person just like me. And it was a wonderful healing experience after so many years of painful isolation. We laughed, we cried, we compared our stories and our surgical scars and all those sorts of things. And it was really amazing. And I started to get a kind of inner strength that I really was beginning to value. The end result of that was, I put the post up already, it was that I actually fused my two worlds, my documentary filmmaking world and my kind of secret life in a film, which I released last year called Orchids, My Intersex Adventure. It's an autobiographical film. So it's a film I made on the road, meeting other people, telling my story in the process. And it's been a really crazy experience, from something that I never wanted to tell even my best friend to telling audiences all over the world. The film has gone on to win many awards. It's going to be shown on the ABC later soon. I don't know when exactly. And it's appeared in 30 film festivals around the world. So it's been like an amazing experience of reaching out, connecting with other people, and creating a network of sorts. So I guess the moral of the story is that, from so many years of feeling like I was all alone, I realized I wasn't. So that's really nice. That's my story.